In the ancient times, before the oceans drank Atlantis, champion warriors will meet to test their skill set at the middle of the earth. So why would 6 people gather below the earth's surface, deep in its maze-like core, in the American state of Ohio, to paint the world? Hold it. Hold it. Greetings, chromatic warriors. Vinceycon 2024 comes to a pleasant conclusion. And oh boy, this year we saw maximum occupancy, nearly bursting the seams with 6 attendees. Champion warriors Uncle Adam, Scott the Miniature Maniac, Vince Venturella, Ninjan, and new attendee Ben, known as Metal AF on the internet, all joined in a magical circle holding hands. We've been getting together for a few years now, and what started as a craving to just have a paint jam has now turned into this annual painting summit that I would never want to miss. Although it's called Vinceycon, it is not actually a convention. That's just a nickname. But also, technically, I believe it takes 3 or more people to qualify as a riot, so maybe 6 or more people and some dogs counts as a convention. So, why start your own convention? There's always a reason to not do something, right? It's expensive. Miniature painting in general is expensive. Air travel is a gamble. Buying a ticket doesn't seem to really guarantee that you'll have a seat. You're not at your desk. You don't have all of your creature comforts around. Life is busy. You have to take time to make time. I say life is for the living. One day you're going to die. These are the facts of life. And the number one regret that people have on their deathbed is not having traveled enough. So get out there. Sorry, I'm constantly aware of my own fate. But why did I go? Well, the first reason, I'm a big fan of a concentrated effort. You know, I like to work hard and relax hard. I'd rather just put a solid amount of days in and then have more space to breathe. Brainstorming. It is said often that variety is the spice of life. I think to cope, some apply that to the people around them, because they have never experienced the pleasure of being surrounded by completely like-minded individuals. I kid, but when you get a bunch of creative brains together, it's a beautiful thing. Sharing games. In the past, we've brought our Age of Sigmar armies and had a 4-way battle. Vince gave us a Warcry demo. And recently, Snarling Badger has risen to the top of the indie games production line. So we get to demo the games that Adam and Vince are working on every year. And yeah, I always look forward to that. As a very nerdy person, it's fascinating to take in the different design languages of these games, and it means even more taking in something that my friend created. They also play Magic the Gathering. Beautiful cards. The instant coaching, of course, being able to pass your model around a table and have 5 other people look at it and give you feedback. It's good to have sets of eyes on something that you didn't have. You only have your own, right? So it's nice to borrow everybody else's organs and get some valuable feedback. Feedback in all things, too. It's always fun to discuss project ideas. You know, a lot of us are content creators, are different kind of videos, making gags about that. It's a good reminder to not be too precious about anything. Maintain a humble spirit, right? There are 2 kinds of people in this world. Only 2. This applies to other things out there, but in the world of miniature painting, there are people who paint something and just say, look at how great I am, and they see no reason to improve. They think they don't understand why other people aren't blown away by their stuff. They may enter competitions and try to complain the bar down to their level instead of rising up to it. And the second person takes a scrutinous look at their work and is always trying to learn. You can always get better. You can always be climbing that mountain. taking enjoyment and fascination in the endless pursuit. You want to be that second person. Sharing philosophies. Yes, we talk about everything under the sun, but I wanted to share, I thought this one was really cool. This is something that Vince brought up. The ship of Theseus. Now, in this story, Theseus sails his ship and does Theseus stuff. Maybe he's a warlord, whatever he wants to do, play games of Warhammer across the coast. But eventually, Theseus' ship will need some repairs. Enter the second character, Vince. Vince repairs the ship of Theseus, but every time that Vince removes a piece and replaces it, he saves that extra piece for conversions. Now eventually, Theseus' sailing ship is completely made out of these replacement parts. Vince, being the craftsman that he is, rebuilds the ship of Theseus out of all these spare parts. Now which is the ship of Theseus? It's a great question about identity. Really makes you think. For this Vinceycon, us champion warriors decided to work on more individualistic projects. My own efforts were spent on a Cult of Paint miniature for an upcoming Kickstarter project. After talking with Andy Wardle at the Nova Open, he sent me a model. I thought, cool. Painted it up in what I hope is an alternate color scheme. I'm sure they have their own already produced box art models, but yeah, I wanted to create something then that would share an alternate take, as if one was to press the X button instead of B when selecting their character, if that makes sense. Scott brought himself an army. He's chipping away on his Dark Eldar, and man, they're looking great. I like his approach this time. He brought a whole bunch of models, so he could just endlessly be producing and working on something. I'm sure he would have loved to finish it all, but no sweat. No time wasted. And yeah, he was working on his mandrakes mainly and discussing what to do with this or that on the model. It's always cool to see Scott work. Vince was wrapping his mind around Monte Sansovino and which pieces he would like to bring exactly. I like that before painting, Vince did some painting. He did a quick warm-up bust and then got to the sharpening on his projects for Monte Sansovino. John and Ben were putting their efforts towards some entries for a certain upcoming competition. Maybe you've seen Ninjon's model. He's posted it in a recent video, but he brought the giant head of a rat to polish up. I'm sure he would have liked to have gotten more done, but slow and steady. He's got a nice quality coming out and a healthy pace. I think if he just keeps that up, he's going to have a very worthy entry. Ben's piece was a big ugly orc, my favorite. He sculpted it himself, which was really cool to see, and yeah, it was nice to see Ben's pretty unique approach to painting. He brought just black and white and then a bunch of neon inks, and you'd kind of mix up whatever gray you'd like and then just pigment inject it with this or that. It was a very small amount of colors, but yeah, obviously you can do everything with that. It's really cool to see his bare bones operation and just how he produces. Uncle Adam, the maverick that he is, decided to work on the computer. I'm kidding. He built a Sons of Behemoth spearhead later on, but he's been getting his grip with 3D printing, so it was really cool to see that coming together just in its rudimentary forms. Like, he's teaching himself the basics, and I can kind of glance over and see how it's coming along, and yeah, he was asking me where to nudge things here or there. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what he starts printing out. This is something we've always talked about, like, since the early days. We were trying to like cast our own little scenery accessories, so it's cool to see him getting into that. He also gave me a tour of Trench Crusade. Today alone, 2 people have asked me if I've heard of Trench Crusade. Yes, I'm really excited about it. It looks this fucking gross. Perfect. We are all busy people that live far apart, and this has been a thing to maintain our friendship. We don't get to see enough of each other at conventions sometimes, and it's another reason why I look forward to going to Vinceycon every year. And now it's grown. Now I hope that Ben comes back next time. I'm sure he had a good time. All of those past collaborative efforts that we've done miniature focuses, all painting on the same model. We've worked within a theme, kit bashing musketeers one time. One time we painted a bunch of orcs and all of their bases could push together and it formed a linear diorama. It's great. All these pieces are like a journal entry in a way. You know, every miniature you paint is I can at least remember where I was at that point in time, you know, where everything else was in my life. I can see the progression in the skill level in the earlier pieces as well. Yeah, it's really cool. So why start your own convention? Well, why not? My advice, start small and grow slowly. I learned that from Uncle Adam. It really stuck with me. But yeah, just summon a dedicated group of individuals, some true maniacs. It's always good to have some lifting buddies around. Plan this out though. You know, choose a location that works for everybody. Simple, right? Be democratic about this. Just make sure that this is possible. Someone has to host, but each guest is a mini host. Just like when you're going to play D&D, as a player, you should see yourself as a mini GM trying to feed back to the game master. Or check your phone again. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of things that are new and haven't happened in the last 5 minutes. It's great. We'll wait. Waiting sucks, so make it happen. If I could give you a small assignment, call out to your best painting buddy and try to arrange a longer day concentrated painting time. It's a lot of ways to manage your time. You could all decide to paint a combat patrol together or do one for each person over a number of days. I hope that you're feeling the fire. I always come back from Vince's very inspired, and as Vince and I are about to travel to Monte San Savino, man, I'm ready to soak up more inspiration and continue going completely insane and see what the world has to bring. So until we meet again, my friends, remain unchained.